Imagine waking up one morning and realizing something strange about the world around you. People have been working for years. They wake up early. They go to work. They try to improve their lives. They want financial freedom. They want stability. They want a future where money is no longer a constant source of stress. And yet, for many people, nothing really changes. Years pass, then more years. And their financial situation looks almost exactly the same. Same worries, the same pressure, the same feeling that money is always slightly out of reach. But then you start noticing another group of people. They don't seem dramatically different. They are not necessarily more talented. They are not always working harder. They are not always louder or more visible. But over time, their lives begin to change. Slowly, quietly, almost invisibly at first. They gain something others don't seem to reach: stability, options, freedom. And the real question becomes this: what do they understand that most people never notice? Stay with me until the end of this video, because the final idea we'll talk about might completely change the way you think about money, wealth, and the long-term decisions people make every day. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind money, success, and human behavior, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and watch until the end. Because understanding these patterns can quietly change the direction of your life. Most people believe wealth is created through big moments: a huge opportunity, a lucky investment, bright business idea, or some kind of breakthrough that suddenly changes everything. But when you look closely at people who actually build wealth that lasts, something surprising appears. Their lives are rarely shaped by dramatic moments. Instead, they are shaped by small patterns repeated over long periods of time. Patterns that are so subtle most people never notice them. It often begins with the way they think about money. For many people, money is a tool for consumption. Something that improves the present moment. A better phone, a nicer apartment, a new experience, a reward after working hard. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But over time, that mindset creates a quiet problem. Because when money is always connected to consumption, it constantly disappears. It enters your life, and then it leaves, over and over again. People who eventually build wealth often see money differently. For them, money is not just about improving the present. It is about shaping the future. Every dollar becomes a small decision. Spend it now, or allow it to become something later. At first, this difference feels almost insignificant. One person spends slightly more. Another saves slightly more. But time has a strange way of magnifying small decisions. 5 years pass, then 10, and suddenly the difference between those two paths becomes enormous. Not because of intelligence, not because of luck, but because one person allowed time to work for them, while the other kept trading the future for small moments of comfort. And this brings us to something many people underestimate. Our brains are not naturally designed for long-term thinking. Human psychology evolved for survival, immediate survival. Food now, safety now, pleasure now. Waiting was dangerous. Delaying reward could mean losing the opportunity entirely. But modern financial life works very differently. The people who gain the greatest advantage are often those who can delay reward, those who can wait, those who can repeat boring actions long enough for results to accumulate. This leads to one of the most misunderstood truths about wealth. Wealth grows slowly. In the beginning, it almost looks like nothing is happening. Small savings, small investments, small improvements, nothing dramatic, no sudden transformation, just quiet repetition. And because the early stages look so small, many people give up too soon. They assume the system is not working. They assume progress is too slow. They begin searching for faster results. But the most powerful forces in life rarely look impressive at the beginning. Think about planting a tree. For the first year, almost nothing happens. The second year looks similar. Even the third year may show very little change above the ground. But underground, something important is happening. Roots are spreading. The foundation is growing stronger. And when the tree eventually begins growing taller and faster, people think the growth appeared suddenly. But the real growth started long before anyone noticed. Wealth behaves in exactly the same way. In the beginning, progress is invisible. Then gradually it becomes noticeable. And eventually it becomes powerful. But most people never reach that stage. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack opportunity, but because they repeatedly restart the process. They save for a while, then spend everything. They build momentum, then reset their progress, over and over again. And each restart quietly destroys the power of time, because time is the most powerful ally in building wealth. Not intensity, not sudden effort, but consistency. Consistency allows compounding to exist. And compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the financial world. At first it looks small, almost disappointing. But over long periods of time it begins accelerating. Money begins working. Skills begin attracting opportunity. Reputation begins opening doors. And slowly, life begins moving differently. But here is another truth people rarely discuss. Building wealth requires emotional control. Money decisions are rarely purely logical. They are deeply emotional. Fear makes people panic during uncertainty. Excitement pushes people toward risky opportunities. Comparison makes people upgrade their lifestyle too quickly. And social pressure makes people spend money they never planned to spend. Which means one of the greatest financial advantages is psychological stability. The ability to remain calm. The ability to ignore noise. The ability to follow a long-term path even when the world around you is constantly changing. These qualities are not dramatic, but they quietly protect progress. And protecting progress is just as important as creating it. Which leads us to the final idea I promised at the beginning. The people who eventually build wealth are not always the smartest. They are not always the most talented, but they possess one rare ability. They can tolerate slow progress. They can continue moving forward even when the results are not immediately visible. They can repeat simple actions long enough for time to multiply their efforts. While most people search for quick wins, they quietly build systems. Systems of saving, systems of investing, systems of learning, systems that slowly begin working in the background of their lives. And once systems begin working, something interesting happens. Your relationship with money changes. In the beginning, you work for money. Later, money begins working for you. And that transition is one of the most powerful turning points in financial life. But it almost never happens quickly. It happens quietly, slowly, almost invisibly, until one day, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. If this video made you think differently about money and long-term success, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and keep exploring the hidden psychology behind wealth and human behavior. Because once you begin to understand these patterns, you start playing a completely different game.